guys, welcome back to The Date Dish, your resource for simple but impressive meals for your significant other. Tonight, I'm featuring our Valentine's Day menu that I'm so excited about. We're going to be making a creamy champagne risotto with fresh lobster. We're going to garnish it with a little bit of basil, and we're going to be adding a secret ingredient to make it extra creamy and wonderful. Now, to get started, we're going to start with the lobster. So we're going to put it in boiling water for about 8 minutes until it's done. And you know it's done when the lobster tail is a bright red color and the meat is opaque. So while we're waiting for our salted water to come to a boil for our 2 lovely lobster tails, we're going to go ahead and crisp up some prosciutto that's going to serve as a garnish for the top of the risotto. So what I have here is just some really thinly sliced prosciutto. We're going to put it on a sheet tray, give it a nice coating of a light coating of olive oil, or you can use nonstick spray just to make sure it doesn't stick to the sheet. So put like 4 or 5 pieces down, and we're gonna pop it in a 450-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes until it's crispy. Just keep an eye on it. Okay, it's ready to go in. So our water has come to a boil, and we're just gonna pop the lobster tails in. I've done this a million times with live lobsters, and they flinch a little bit. So lobster tails are a little easier to do. You just pop them in like that and watch them. So our lobster tails are bright and red, and they're curled in. Just like how shrimp curls, these curl too. So this looks done to me. Let's go ahead and take these babies out. So as you can see, our prosciutto is nice and crispy. That is gonna be perfect. We're gonna crumble it, and we're gonna top our risotto with it. And it is like, it's better than bacon. I love prosciutto. Put prosciutto on anything. So our lobster is all finished, and we're gonna put our risotto on. What we have to do first is we have to go ahead and heat up some chicken stock so it's hot when we add it to the risotto. So just take a saucepan, add about 2 cups of chicken stock, and we're gonna bring it to a simmer. Turn on medium-high heat, okay? So the first step with the risotto is we have to melt 2 tablespoons of butter. To that, we're then gonna add 1 minced shallot for about 1 minute and saute it until the shallots become translucent. After that, we'll add 3/4 cup of risotto. We're gonna coat the risotto with the butter, and it's just gonna lightly coat it and give it a really nice flavor. After that, we're gonna saute it for about 3 minutes. And then we're going to add 3/4 cup of champagne. The champagne is going to infuse with the risotto early on and give it an amazing flavor. We're going to saute that for 3 minutes, and then we'll slowly add in the chicken stock. So we just put in the butter, and we're just going to let this melt slowly on medium heat. So you can see the butter is all melted. We're just going to add 1 shallot to it. Now that we sweated the shallot for about a minute, we're going to go ahead and add the rice. So as you can see, the rice has absorbed all the butter, and it's really nice and evenly coated. The grains are almost a little translucent, which is really what you are looking for. So now it's been about 3 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add the champagne. We're gonna add this, and it's gonna be such a good flavor. It's gonna bubble, so add a little bit at a time. You can really smell that champagne cooking. We're gonna go ahead and add chicken stock, 1/2 cup at a time. Just add this in until it absorbs, and then we'll add a little more. And we're gonna keep doing that until it's a nice creamy texture with a little bit of a bite. So it's nice and creamy. This looks about done. So now we're gonna add in our cheese. Our secret ingredient tonight is mascarpone cheese. It is an Italian cream cheese. But it's so much smoother than cream cheese. It's almost like butter meets cream cheese, but still the same amount of calories. It's absolutely delicious. So we're gonna add, I think, about 1/4 of a cup. So I'm just gonna put 2 spoonfuls in here and stir it in. Look how creamy it's getting. Getting hungry. So it cooks the lobster tails in boiling salted water for about 8 minutes. It is going to vary depending on the size of the lobster tail, so watch it. Look for the shell to turn a bright red color and the meat to be completely opaque. That way you know it's done. We're going to go ahead and cut these to top our lobster risotto with. So if you're girly like me, I don't want to smell like fish or, you know, cut my hands with lobster shards. So use a towel or a paper towel and just crush down on it. It'll break the shell right open and you'll be able to get the meat out. Now we have our 2 lobster tails. We're gonna cut them in about 1/2-inch pieces. So just cut them down the center, just like that. And then just chop off, you know, little 1/2-inch squares. So they're good chunks, but they're not too big. They're definitely bite size. I'm gonna add half of this lobster to the risotto so we mix it in. And then I'm gonna use the other half to garnish. Now, before I do that, I'm also gonna add a little bit of prosciutto. So again, we wanna reserve, I would say like 2 pieces just for garnish, about this size. So we'll break off these 2 pieces right here. And then the rest we're gonna crumble. Really easy to do. And hard to resist, this stuff is so good. Okay, we're just gonna add about half the prosciutto, the lobster meat. We're gonna stir it in. Oh, this smells so good. Look at that. That is a Valentine's Day meal. Who wouldn't love this? It's got little pieces of red and pink in it and white. Perfect. So I want to add a little bit of fresh basil to it. We have 2 basil leaves here. I find the easiest way to cut up basil is to chiffonade it. So just place them on top of each other and roll it like a little cigar. And then just chop it like this in really thin little ribbons. Okay, great. So we can separate these. See, you have nice little thin garnishes. They're beautiful. So we're ready to plate it. It's really easy. Pile it in the center of the plate. You can use a bowl too if you prefer that. I mean, it's thick enough where I like the plate. Look at all these little pieces of prosciutto and lobster. This is amazing. So we have our risotto on our plate and we're just gonna garnish it. We're gonna go ahead and pile the lobster nice and in the center so they can see how much there is. Then we're gonna sprinkle our crispy prosciutto over it, just to give it some nice Valentine's Day color and a little bit of crunch. It's gonna go amazing with the lobster. Next, we're just gonna add our little chiffonade pieces of basil for a little bit of color. It's gonna be beautiful. Remember to add these at the end. Don't add fresh basil while you're cooking because it'll turn brown and you want the herbs to stay a bright, fresh green. Just like that. Okay, and to finish it off, we're gonna add a nice little piece of prosciutto, just like that. And you know what? I'm gonna add a little basil leaves for some color. I'm gonna add something like that. Voila. Here is your champagne and mascarpone cheese lobster risotto. Let's dig in. For this recipe and more, make sure to visit thedatedish.com for all of your date night needs.